Good afternoon, everyone. My thanks to XENA for hosting me on the show, and a warm welcome to those who are new members as well as the older members. The topic today is a very difficult one, and I'll explain why. Uh, in my book, I list this as the third stage of the treatment process, anger. But actually, I very often have to deal with anger issues on day one because when we have analyzed the remedies, we find that almost 25 of them have anger of some kind at their root. Anger is an emotion that is very prevalent with human beings. And it's also the emotion that causes the greatest amount of, I would say, problems and sickness. Everything from issues with the stomach and acidity and GERD, etc., all originate in anger, whether it is suppressed anger or expressed anger. Forget the other problems that anger causes in your family with people. Anger has been deemed to be like drinking acid in the hope it will burn the other person. It actually hurts you if you live in a state of anger. Okay. My lawyer asked me some time back, Ashok, I don't see you getting angry, abusing, shouting, screaming, even though you have been cheated, etc., etc. And I told him, I said, listen, I have no intention of going to sleep in anger or waking up with anger in my mind. It's poison. Okay. Now, the greatest, shall we say, the most harmful type of anger is suppressed anger. People who, for whatever reason, do not express what they are feeling, but inside them, they are extremely angry. And this can happen with children as well as adults. Okay. Very often, when I'm dealing with behavioral issues in children, I'm talking anywhere up to the age from even 5 upwards to about 20. Inner anger is a big issue. I'm also unfortunately dealing with a couple of 30-year-olds whose entire life has been messed up because they're angry at the parents, they're angry at relatives, they're just angry over everything. One guy complains that my multinational company has not given me a promotion for 7 years. Everyone else has got promoted. But the point is that any serious employer will usually not promote someone who they find is not a team player, who's angry, who creates conflict unnecessarily. Okay? So anger affects every aspect of our lives. And of course, it affects our health. Now, I'm going to make a very strong statement here. A couple of weeks back, someone asked me from the Gulf, can you help a friend of mine? She's got breast cancer. There's pus, it's horrible, etc., etc. I asked her, what is making this woman so angry? Oh, she said nothing. The lady says she's a very cheerful, smiling, happy person who's always helping others. I said, go back and ask her about her childhood. And immediately the answer came back, I hate my mother. She was a drunkard, blah, blah, blah. She did this. My life was ruined. That anger inside her towards her mother from an early age was very fierce. And now by the time she's 35 or 40 years old, that's beginning to have a horrible effect on her. On the surface, she may be very pleasant, very cheerful, maybe even very positive. But inside, you have this anger burning at her. So don't misunderstand when you sometimes see people who seem to be cheerful and pleasant. But if you scratch below the surface, you might find a tremendous amount of suppressed anger. You know, and one of the things a friend, client of mine told me, he said, Ashok, I'm an angry person for various reasons. But I express my anger, I shout, I get it out of me. I don't bury it inside me. That keeps me safe. And tragically, that is correct. People who are angry on the surface, who let their anger out, who speak their minds, who say what they want to say, are kind of protected. The real problem is people who don't express their anger. Okay? And very often, at least in India, it is women who can't speak against their in-laws, who dare not raise their voice against an abusive husband, various things where they are obliged to keep quiet. On the surface, they may be very pleasant, very, friendly, very caring people, but inside them there is this simmering anger. And it leads to all kinds of illness. Okay. And it begins really with the stomach, but it spreads through the whole body. Now, there is in the Bach remedies, there is one remedy called holly, which is actually a key remedy for anger, jealousy, bitterness. But holly is not enough. Because if you look at anger, it has many origins. You could be an intolerant person, beach, and your anger comes from intolerance. You could be a resentful person who feels that other people are better off than you, or you are not, life has not been fair with you. And that resentment is anger. That's the remedy willow. Okay. There are people who are control freaks. They're always shouting at their staff, at their office, at their people. They're always angry. They're always feeling threatened, and therefore they bully back. That is also anger. People who have got emotional and ego problems, large, very often have anger buried underneath because they feel that life has not been good to them. Okay. Now I can go through 38 remedies. I do this during my teaching sessions, and barring a handful, almost all of them find origins in anger. I've seen this even with people who are animal lovers, activists, say something wrong that they don't like, and they'll shout and scream at you. They say it's our passion. We are passionate about animal care. Yeah, but passion doesn't always have to be shouted and screamed at others. But that's what they do. And it's impossible to talk to such people because they have a passion. There's nothing wrong with that. But that passion should not lead you to dismissing everyone else and saying, you know nothing, you don't do this. Only I have the right answers. So wherever you look, I said, we don't have time here for me to go through 38 remedies and identify the anger that lies at the root of so many emotions. So many emotions have anger at their root. And therefore, it's one of the most important areas in which to heal somebody. You must get people to stop being angry, even if they are justified in what they are angry about. I'm not saying they have no reason to be angry, but anger is not a very healthy response. Okay? It's much better to be tolerant, to allow for the fact that, yes, things go wrong in life. Nothing goes perfectly. I have had millions of my money stolen by friends. Even today, my sister is stealing my inheritance. Okay. I've had my partners and my clients cheat me. Beyond a moment of feeling bad and angry, you let that anger go, because that anger will not serve you. One of the first lessons we are taught in the martial arts is don't let your opponent make you angry. The moment you're acting from anger, you have lost. Anger doesn't help you. Unfortunately, I have a number of friends who claim, oh, my anger is my strength. One of my own staff, whose father abandoned the mother when he was 1 year old, says that my anger saw me through my engineering, anger saw me through my MBA, my strength is my anger. And I warned him when he joined my company. I said, this anger will destroy you. No, he said, my anger is my strength. 5, 6 years later, both his kidneys packed up. Both. He's living today on a borrowed kidney. And again, I warned him. I said, now is the time to put your anger aside. Whatever your father did 30 years ago, let it go. You don't know the background. You don't know the reasons. Yes, I know someone says my mother drinks and I'm angry at her. But you don't know why your mother drinks. You don't know what are the pressures in her life that are causing her to drink so much. Okay? And I remember that even as a child, I had reason to be angry at my parents sometimes. But when I grew older, I sat down, I had a chat with them, both. I said, talk to me about your lives. Help me understand. And once I understood, I didn't feel angry anymore. I knew that my mother had been deprived of the chance to practice medicine. And it really, really hurt her because that was her passion. I discovered that my father had been ridiculed by his own mother because he was a dark member of the family. So he was insulted and in front of other people also. And obviously, it left a great amount of anger within him. Though with dealing with us and others, he never showed anger. But this anger lived within him. And ultimately, sad to say, he died of colon cancer at the early age of 60 something. I didn't know Bach remedies those days. Otherwise, I would have managed to maybe help him. So, anger in all its forms, whether justified or not justified, is something that hurts us. And those of us who practice healing always ask this question: what are you angry about? And we deal with that anger because till you do that, nothing else will work. Anger will pull the person back all the time. Okay? This is a catch. Oh, give me a minute. I think I need to See, whether it's religion which tells us to forgive and let go, or for any philosophy or any religious book, whatever, there is a purpose to this. When we forgive others for whatever they have done to us, we are actually protecting ourselves. It's not that when we forgive others, we are doing it for their sake. We're doing it for our own sakes. I've had people scream at me and say, how dare you ask me to forgive and forget XYZ or my father or whoever. And I said, well, don't do it. That's your choice. You want to hold on to your anger, you're most welcome to do it. But don't you realize that you are making yourself sick? Your stomach is acidic, you don't digest your food properly, you get all kinds of, what's the correct word for it? When your food is coming back into your throat. And this anger permeates everything you do. I often tell people, I get people saying, no, I'm going to meet my mother, and every time I go, we have a huge fight. I said, it's very simple. Before you go to meet your mother, take a dose of holly, one of impatience, and of beech. Take these three remedies and then enter your mother's house. The tone of your voice will be softer. You will not be prone to react and provoke a fight. Maybe, maybe your mother says things or your mother-in-law says things that bother you. But what is the point of picking a fight? And then both of you are screaming at each other and you don't want to visit your own mother after that. So think of this, that dealing with anger is something you do for your own sake. It really is not a gift to others. It is a gift to yourself. And I remember an incident where somebody banged my car from the back. So I politely told him, I said, please, let's go to the police station for we have to register this accident. In the police control room, in front of 20 police officers, this man continued to give me nasty, dirty abuses. One policeman came up to me and he said, sir, how come you are not getting angry? If someone spoke to me like this, I would break his face. I said, listen, you're giving too much importance to the other person. This man, whatever he is harming himself. He's a stranger. I don't know him. His words have no meaning to me. And I am not going to let myself be upset by this person. And I said something more important. At 8:30 tonight, I have a dinner date with a very beautiful woman. If I let this man disturb my mood now and fill me up with anger, it will destroy my whole evening. I said, I don't want to do that. The Japanese call this wa, W-A, inner harmony. And they say that the most important thing is not to lose our inner harmony. No matter what the provocation, no matter what the provocation, that degree of self-control is up to us. And I've seen this in so many situations through my life where I've been faced with somebody who's misbehaving, who's doing something that should get me angry. But I choose not to get angry. I consciously choose not to get angry, not to let those words upset me, not to let this person disturb my inner harmony. Because I learned very early in life to value my inner peace and quiet. So this is something, and as I said, I can go through many remedies. There is a remedy, wine, I told you, willow. beach, holly. Okay. And I very often give these in combination to people and saying, whatever the source of your anger, and there's so many different sources for anger, so let it go. Walnut, very good remedy to forget the past. Forget the fact that at the age of 5, your mother did something or somebody hurt you. Or at the age of 19, you had somebody, molest you sexually. Now at the age of 40, 45, why are you holding on to that memory? How does that negative memory help you go ahead tomorrow? Agree, something bad happened. No one is saying that is a bad thing. It is a bad thing. But it happened 30 years, 20 years ago. Let it go. And like I said, a lot of people turn around and say, but it's not so easy to let go. And I said, I agree, and that is where Bach remedies come in. There are specific remedies that help you re-examine your life, your past, look at the things that make you angry, and help you let that anger go. And it's something you must teach yourself to do. You must learn. Bruce Lee made a very beautiful comment. He said, calm is a superpower. Learn to remain calm. Do not let things disturb you. That is always up to you. Okay? Now, as I said, this is not a topic I can cover easily in half an hour, but I've said what needed to be said. I've only got 4 minutes left. Please remember that this one emotion disturbs everything inside you. It disturbs your sleep, it disturbs your digestion. Very often, the source of fibromyalgia is extreme anger, jealousy. And mind you, I deal with these issues regularly. And people complain of severe pain in their knees or severe pain somewhere else. And the moment you deal with the anger, that pain disappears. Because the emotions that are released, the chemicals that are released when you're angry, whether it is cortisol or it is adrenaline, there are many chemicals that are released in your body when you are in an angry state of mind. If you could plug a meter into a vein and take a reading of the chemicals that are flowing through your blood, the moment you're angry, your breathing changes, your heart rate changes. In fact, anger is one of the core reasons behind high blood pressure. And I've dealt with high blood pressure in many people. Ultimately, they've come to admit that, yeah, Ashok, I'm usually angry at someone or at something. And when the anger is let go, my BP comes down to normal without tablets, without pills. So look at this. Whether it is something as simple as blood pressure, something as simple as indigestion, okay, uh, something as serious and severe as cancer, you will find anger at its root. Okay, I had asthma when I was 23 years old. Out of the blue, I am a super athlete. Why should I get asthma? But when that asthma was cured, my doc only told me one thing. Teacher, doc, call him what you like. He said, Ashok, don't do it to yourself again. Don't get involved in conflict, especially that of others. The mind is getting very disturbed, and the chemicals that are released in that disturbed state of mind are what are causing this asthma. And one day when I released all that, my asthma disappeared. I've never had asthma since then. As Meena pointed out, I still smoke. I remember my Guruji telling me this. He said, Ashok, it's okay to smoke. Don't let the cigarette smoke you. There is nothing in this world that is harmful to you if handled correctly. If you can deal with life without anger, you will be in good health. This is very, very critical. You really, really must realize that anger lies at the root of so many illnesses in our body, minor and major. And it's not that difficult to let go. That is where Bach remedies like Holly come in. I remember seeing my landlord once screaming, shouting at somebody. And I had to calm him down and tell him, listen, you will give yourself a heart attack. The agitation and the anger inside you. Calm down. And I had to give him a remedy and say, stop this, please. This is not helping you. Okay? So let me just see. Hey, reading this wrong.
Please let us know when it is question hour, because I would have a couple of questions.
I didn't realize I was reading this at an angle. It's only 4:50, so I've got 10 minutes. So, well, we start questions at 5 o'clock when Rajiv stopped the recording.
Fine, that's okay.
And I'll be honest with you, after dealing with people for almost 40 years, okay, with the backdrop of Bach remedies, I always tell people, show me, if I'm not meeting them one-to-one, send me a photograph. If it's your child, send me a photograph, full face of the child. I need to look in his face, his eyes. I need to see if there is serious anger there. You're seeing these kind of crimes in the US. 18-year-old children, okay, picking up a gun and shooting children. Where does that come from? Where does that come from? If not anger. What are the reasons for that anger? There can be many of them. But always at the back of negative action, you will find the negative emotion, anger. And once that anger gets control of you, and you lose control of your own behavior, there is a remedy, cherry plum. It's a remedy for losing control. When someone or something pushes you so far that you say to yourself, I can't take this anymore. You take cherry plum, there's a message that says, well, these limits are limits of your own making. There is no such thing as too far. Look out through history. People have gone through concentration camps, loss of loved ones. Look at the children in Texas. 19 parents have lost their children. And whether it's their religion that tells them or common sense which tells them being angry will not bring your child back. Make peace. Forgive that idiot who did it. It's not easy. I'm not saying that it's, you can forgive somebody at the drop of a hat. But I remember when I had my entire wealth stolen from me. I went from being a millionaire one day to being a pauper the next day. I used to keep the remedies, willow, beech, and holly next to me next to my pillow. When I woke up in the morning, if I felt there was any anger inside me, I would take those remedies and tell myself, let it go. Common sense tells me that this anger will not help me in any way. It won't bring my money back. Yeah, it might make me get up and hit the man on the head, But how will that solve any problem? How will that solve any problem? To protect myself, I had to let go my anger. And I'm saying this more than once because it's not an easy thing to do, but it's the best thing you can do for yourself. Jane do. Let it go. It happened. It's over. It's finished. It's the past. Don't carry the past with you. It's a burden to carry. It destroys your future. It spoils your mood. It destroys your ability to enjoy your current life. I had one lady tell me, oh, my 5-year-old girl inside me is screaming and shouting at me. Okay, every time this happens, that happens, this 5-year-old girl, something happened in her life. But she's 65 now. Why is this 5-year-old girl still dominating her life? Why is she allowing it to dominate her life? And very often that anger becomes an excuse. Oh, this is so because I'm angry, and I'm angry because this happened. I am justified. I'm justified in my anger. So I'm allowed to be angry. I said, yeah, you're allowed to be angry. It's a natural emotion. But how does it help you? How does it help you? Today, like I said, one of my staff is living on a borrowed kidney. His inner anger destroyed both his kidneys. They packed up at one shot. I remember talking to the institute in Germany, Dr. Hamer. I said, why would both kidneys pack up? And the answer was a sense of abandonment. I said, yes, this boy is angry that his father abandoned them when he was 1 year old. But today he's paying the price for it. Living on a borrowed kidney, not able to have a natural, normal life, constantly living on immunosuppressants. How long can he do that? And if he doesn't let his anger go, believe me, even this borrowed kidney from his mother, that is going to pack up. Because the chemicals that are produced in the body when we are angry are all harmful chemicals. They're hostile. They're harmful to the body. This anger has some benefit in dealing with injustice, in dealing with various issues where we should not, let's just use it, let's not take bullshit from the world. I remember my daughter once, when she was 7 years old. She was doing something that was dangerous. And maybe my tone of voice was not right. I said, don't do that, baby. The 7-year-old girl turned around, looked at me and said, Papa, don't ever use that tone of voice with me. You could have told me gently, baby, don't do that. It's dangerous for you. She said, don't ever raise your voice to me. She was only 7 years old. But she clearly understood that one person's angry tone results in the other person reacting with anger. It sets off a chain reaction. So the woman who said, I'm always getting into a fight with my mother when I go to her house, I told her, I said, take these remedies before you enter the house. You calm yourself first. Don't be prone to having somebody trigger anger. You know this situation triggers anger. You can't change who your mother is, but you can change who you are. So one of the principles in life is we don't control the rubbish that happens to us, but we can always control a reaction to that. And anger is not a good reaction. Okay, I think, yep, Rajiv. It's 4:58 if you want to close. As I said, I can't go into